Can you see me?
I can't see you.
Dude, I tested this morning. I was in the back
We're live.
with the camera.
I love it, man. I love it. Dude, I was the same thing. I don't know, must be something on Restream. It was saying something was weird. Network connectivity. How are you this morning?
I am good. How are you?
Pretty good. You got my audio?
Yes. Sorry. I had the YouTube up and it just backfeeded on me. No, doing good. Very good. I saw some videos this morning that got me fired up.
What were those videos?
Well, I just posted a little TikTok because I had a really productive day yesterday. So coming up this morning, I was kind of like, I didn't have like this huge push to just jump out of bed 2 hours ago. But then I started seeing some of these videos from some of these guys that I really respect that have great influence in land clearing online, kind of talking about economy and market and being slow. And like these are guys that people text me and they're like, how do we be like him? Uh, and I know for a fact that these guys rely mostly on word of mouth. They've talked about that before. And we all know word of mouth and referrals are like the best jobs you could ever get. And these guys are good enough that they could run their own marketing. Like their content, their ability to be on camera is amazing. So it's not like a sales pitch, but it's hard for me to see that now they're like struggling. They're like, what do we do? They're giving advice to people like, don't get into this business. And all I can think about is the 20 meetings I've had this month talking about all the money guys made last year, how the pipelines are full right now. Guys have leads, quotes booked, estimates sent, jobs booked, and checks coming in. And I'm like, how are y'all not tasting this? But anyways, the word of mouth is great, but I could not imagine posting a video like that versus going out there and making it happen, like pushing for it, not waiting for it and making excuses.
Dude, it's going to lead us right into our live stream today. And yeah, we're going to talk about this offer that I got from Bobcat. I want to break that down and how that's going to apply to land clearing guys on scheduling. And when I say, like, Jacob's always says land clearing guys, and he works with specifically land clearing guys. For the context of this conversation, if you're a tree guy, if you're a land clearing guy, if you're a dirt guy doing small residential stuff, all of these things that we're talking about should apply to you. But today, the topic is how to even out the schedule. How do you make sure that you're not running around like a chicken with your head cut off during busy time and then not sitting on your thumb during winter time? And I'm assuming that the people you're talking about who have had all these success stories have been with you for, on average, how long?
Most of them a year or more. A few of them, 6 months or so.
Let's just talk about this for, well, let's do the intro here. All right, thanks for y'all for the jumping on the first 5 minutes. So here we go. Ready? 3, 2, 1, rock and roll. All right, welcome back to another episode of the OWNR OPS podcast. I'm your host, Austin Gray. In this episode, we are going to be talking about how to even out your schedule so that you don't have tons of jobs all at once and then sitting on your thumb in the slow season. I've got my friend Jacob from Rise Online Ads and Land Clearing Growth on the show again this week. Jacob, welcome to the show. What were you telling us before?
Thank you, sir. Happy to be here. Yeah, just basically, I saw some videos this morning of guys that I really respect that have great influence online talking about being slower and being worried and kind of talking about market and economy and almost influencing guys to sort of be down and out, which is not the experience I've had when I've been meeting with all of my clients here in January, talking about their performance in 2025, where lots of them had record years and have started this year really strong with leads to contact. They have quotes booked, they have quotes sent out, they have jobs booked, and they have checks coming in. And what I was saying was this wasn't a sales pitch. Like the guys I'm talking about, they could do this without me. Like they've got the experience, the reputation, the ability to be good on camera. But it's sad for me to see because a lot of times these are the guys preaching that you just need to build your business on word of mouth. That's it. And this is what happens when you only rely on word of mouth and referrals. You have great, you're running hot and heavy, you're posting on Facebook, running wide open, baby, big machines. And then all of a sudden they have zero work and 100 grand in overhead. And that doesn't happen when you have tons of opportunities in front of you. So that just it really hits me home because that's like what I do every day. And I know it could be different. And I'm not saying just through me, it could be different on their own vein. Like don't sit there blaming things outside of your control. Take what's in your control and push.
Well, there's two types of people too, and we're in the wintertime months. Traditionally, for most people, the headspace switches. Hey, I went through busy season, especially out here in the West. Snow starts setting in. I mean, I know guys who take off and go to Florida and go fishing for 4 months. But there's another type of person who says, okay, I got 4 months to really sit down and figure out what I need to figure out and optimize what I need to optimize on the back end on the system so that when busy season comes back around, we're set up properly, we're organized, and we're ready to just fire on all cylinders. Now, I believe what you're talking about plays into this equation because you've got plenty of clients right now who have plenty of work, correct?
Right.
Yeah. And so, what are some contributing factors to guys having work here Friday, January 23rd in the middle of winter?
Yeah. I mean, they planned ahead. They didn't let off the gas. They put on the gas or just kept it on in fall and winter. And I mean, this is guys from west, north, south. And the videos I saw this morning were both guys from the south. They don't have seasons of work. Um, so I mean, it's like, yeah, if you plan ahead for taking off, we have a couple guys who do that. They just hunt, for a month or two or longer. Um, that is amazing. Like you're planning ahead. But you also, if you want to be working in January, you have to plan ahead. You can't take off from the holidays and then come back and just think the phone's just going to start ringing. You got to plan ahead. And in my experience, the guys that work with us that take off for a month, they've got jobs on the books already for late January, February, March. So it's not like they're just taking off and restarting. They planned ahead, and so they feel comfortable taking that downtime.
So, there was likely a conscious decision in that person's mind when it traditionally slows down in the winter months. Oh, crap, it's slow right now. What do you think that person who's having success right now in 2026, January 23rd, what do you think that person did whenever they were faced with that decision 1 or 2 years ago in the slow months?
They pushed, and they made it happen. I mean, that's what I can't understand. Like, if it's truly an education issue, that's why I make content every day to try to educate. But if it's truly a mindset of, oh well, I mean, I run my business on word of mouth to referrals. That's what the Facebook comments tell me.
Hmm.
Like, hey, dude, that is great, but I mean, every big company that is way bigger than us, that has been around for decades, that could probably make billions a year without advertising, they still advertise because you have to keep front of mind and you can push your way to your goals versus just kind of hoping it happens. Like, I talked to multiple guys who had multi seven figure years in the past, like 2021, 22, 23. And that was for a lot of them was market and economy. And then now they've had 2 years 600,000, like half the revenue. But that's because they're just relying on the market. And if that's how you want to run your business, like you just have up and downs and you're riding the wave, you're not really in control. Okay, do you, but I'm not going to run my business that way. I'm going to push to make happen what I want to happen. And I'm going to find other ways. The way that we marketed our business in 2021 is way different than the way we do it now. The way we marketed for land clearing guys in 2021 is way different than how we do it now. You have to change, adapt, and grow. You have to.
Yeah, so there are specifically some people who have reached out and they're having that oh crap moment. It's January 23rd, and they've convinced themselves of, well, last month they convinced themselves of like, well, it's slow because of Christmas, and then this month it's slow because of, I guess it's winter and it's not busy season. So now I'm stuck with either going fishing for 4 months or sitting here at my computer wondering what the heck to do next. What can that person decide to do now that's going to set them up for next year, the next year, the next year, the next year for success, so that they're not sitting here with no jobs and then tons of jobs in the summer season?
Right. I love that. So there's this quote people always use for like whatever they want to talk about investing or starting. It's like the best time to start was 10 years ago. The next best time is right now, right? But what you have to know is, like, if you're in a winter storm, figuratively, no jobs, and you start doing any of this stuff right now, like you can't necessarily expect that it's just going to fix your problem tomorrow. Um, that does happen, and it's super cool. Sorry, I just dropped my ring. That does happen, and it's super cool, but it's usually not going to happen that fast. But what you want to start doing now is making it happen on purpose. Plan out. But when I say make it happen, plan out, that's like vague, right? What I mean is you need to let people know that you exist in every way possible. Now, that does include shaking hands, yard signs, going to networking events, especially if you don't have jobs. You better not be sitting there. I mean, you better be out there doing something, drive around with your truck with the sticker on it at least. But then, in my opinion, in my experience, there's time versus money, and all those things take your time unless you have a bunch of employees. But then that's also going to take you money. Um, Paid advertising in whatever way is the biggest lever for time and money, because you can show people that you exist, that need your services, very quickly, very often, very predictably, and track that well. So start making videos is what I always tell people. Beyond all of the other stuff of truck stickers, shaking hands, networking, letting people know you exist person to person. Make videos every single day talking about who you are, where you are, what you do, and who you do it for, and then start jumping into frequently asked questions, talking about your machine. People will watch this stuff. I watch this dude change wheel bearings and do like maintenance on vehicles almost every day. um, but people will watch this stuff and then they'll learn about you, they'll trust you, and then when it comes time to hire somebody, they're going to remember you. Um, and that's all it is. When people drive around and they say, I keep seeing all these guys with machines in my area, I'm like, how are they getting that job? Like, it's very simple. The person who hired them knew they existed. They either know more people than you, they talk to more people than you, or they advertise somehow more than you. That's just sort of the simple version of it.
So if you start paid ads right now, you're not going to solve my problems tomorrow, right?
No, no, definitely not.
But next year, if I commit to the paid ads thing for a year, can you tell us why things get better with time? Just simple from a technology perspective.
For sure. Yeah, optimization, right? So over time, number one, people will learn about you and react to your stuff better. But also just on the technology side, you run ads, you get people clicking, calling, filling out forms. You're going to get a few that aren't what you want or aren't legit. And then we go back and we tell the technology like, hey, here's the good ones, here's the bad ones, find more of the good ones. Um, and then the more you do that and the more money you spend doing that, over time it gets better and better. And that's how we get a lower cost per click, cost per lead. And at the same time, you probably also get better at making videos and putting things together that people like to see.
And that's something that I get a lot from guys who are asking about, hey, what's going on in month one or month two? What's the minimum amount of time that you push to set expectations with somebody who's starting spending dollars on paid ads online? Like, what's the minimum amount that they should be willing to invest back in their business rather than, hey, I need an expected return within this amount of time?
For us, it's 4 months. And that's because I found across multiple hundreds now that we can get, even in a case where the guy sucks at sales, about a 7x return on their money in 4 months. We do have lots of amazing case studies where they got it in the first month, but there's too many variables there. Like a lot of guys are already booked out for a month when they come to us, so they couldn't have possibly got a return on investment in that month. Or there's just other factors, the sales cycle. Like not every person who's going to hire you is like ready for you to drive the machine over there today. Permits and timing and all this stuff. So 4 months is kind of the thing. Now, really, a year is where most people should be at, but it's hard for a lot of guys to put their time horizon out like that. But I can tell you the best clients that have ever come to us, the things they say on the sales call is like, yeah, I'm going to commit to this for a year and, we'll see how it goes. And those are the people who've had the most success because they're able to delay that gratification because they understand how things work.
Yeah. And when you're looking at it from an ROI perspective, if you're looking at it from, hey, am I going to get this money back that I spend on ads this month and any other marketing costs this month or next month, especially if you're just starting out, you're likely going to fail most times in that scenario.
You'll
And
quit too early.
what's that?
You'll quit too early.
Yeah. And the reason I say most times is because some guys flip them on. Like I've seen it before, flip them on, and it's the right time in the market, and they nailed the video and they got leads, and that person's hooked on running ads for forever, for the rest of their life because of that. But very rarely does that
Yeah.
actually happen. And so, yeah, I was having a conversation with my little brother too. He's in the concrete business, and he flipped some on, and he got his first. He did like a $5,000 quote from a lead after his first week. So that was a huge win for him. But
Yep.
I still try to set the expectations. Hey, man, if this thing goes dry for the next 30 days, don't quit.
Right.
Commit to it over the long term, because whenever you invest this money this month, you're looking at, if you're running $50 a day, it's about $1,500 in ad spend. If you're doing $100 a day, it's $3,000. What is the likelihood that these ads return that money? And that's what you have to ask yourself as an entrepreneur. And then if you expand that out over 12 months, basically what Jacob's saying right here is there is a really good chance that that returns, as long as you show up and execute the playbook.
Right. And I've been on both sides of that. With my first business, I actually got to be both sides of that, where I ran ads and got nothing, turned them off. Was like, okay, I don't know about this. And all the advice I got from people was, don't run paid ads. Facebook's going to take your money. Google's going to take your money. Go out there, do this, do that, word of mouth, shake hands, make relationships. And yeah, then I started running paid ads. And I made a bunch of money. Then I did that with Rise, with the marketing. But I was like hot and heavy with it, right? I was like, well, of course I'm an advertising company. I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is. and I spent 15 grand over 3 months and didn't get one single client. So obviously, heavy temptations to quit there and cut losses, right? Well, if I would have quit there that next month, I remember this clear as day. I made 25 grand that next month after losing the 15. Now, fast forward, like the return on investment of me not quitting after losing that 15,000 is exponential. But had I quit, I would have never realized all of that. So I see that 15K as, just was learning what didn't work so that I could learn what did work. And this happens a lot. And Hormozy actually talks about this. I am not uh uncommon there in that situation. He says, like, if I were to tell you, hey, you put $50,000 in and you'll get $500,000 out, anybody would take that deal all day. But what really happens is it takes 12 months to put that 50,000 in, and you put in 5 and you don't get a return. You put in 5, you don't get a return. You put in 5, you don't get a return. And all of a sudden you're at 25 grand and you haven't gotten the 500 you wanted, and then you quit. Then you double lose. You got the opportunity cost and you lost 25 grand. But when you keep pushing, you keep optimizing, you keep learning, you keep growing, you keep building reputation and time in the market, then you get that return. But you have to be willing to make that gap. Kind of like with sports or working out or losing weight or eating or whatever. It's like there's a time that you have to endure suffering without return, without results. But that's how you get to the results.
So let's talk specifics now. The title of this episode is related to the schedule. And this hit me really hard. This week, I got a direct mail advertisement from Bobcat. This is because I hold a warranty with Bobcat. Okay. And I'm going to read it. Check it now, trust it later. Now through March 31st, let us give your equipment a full service spa so that you're ready to rock and roll when springtime rush hits. Free warranty inspection. Free 50-point inspection with 13-point operational check and fixes of warrantable items. Free wash and grease. Let us wash, grease, inspect, update software, and get your machine fully ready for spring. 10% off non-warranty repairs and no pay for 90 days. Do your spring maintenance now and don't pay for 90 days. And I remember I texted this to you because I was like, this is money right here. I'm a machine owner. They are hitting on every single pain point for me right here. Well, what they are doing is they're putting an offer in front of me that's really hard for me not to go take them up on. Why? Because it's something I'm already going to do. One. Number two, they're basically making it to where my slow season is timed up with their slow season. They're incentivizing me to bring my machine in to get it checked on my end so that everything's buttoned up for busy season. But what they're doing internally is they are booking up their schedule in a time that was slower than their busy season. And so the premise for this conversation today, I want to break this down, Jacob. We can talk about why this attracts me as a customer to take them up on their offer, what was good about it, what you would change, and then how this would relate to a land clearing or dirt guy in the middle of winter, even in the year-round markets, when you may not be booked up as much. So how can we creatively come up with an offer that will help you book more jobs in a slower season rather than having too much work and being over capacity in summer season? So when I texted this to you, what do you like about this that they're doing?
Well, lots of things. Uh, the big thing is they understand you, right? So that you're getting something that feels like they understand you. which is good. That they know who their guys are. I love that they're basically giving you an irresistible offer for something that you were already going to do anyways, which is something they set up technically on the front end by getting you in on the warranty, which that's a whole other conversation about continuity and keeping a relationship with people after a sale is all a warranty really is, as well as risk reversal for the purchase. But they're also getting you to them, which I really like. They're opening the door for you to come back and be around them for anything, upsells for maintenance, upsells for add-ons, attachments, all the way up to an upsell for another machine. They position themselves to probably very easily give you a quick trade-in value while they're already in and around the machine. And I'm not saying that's their sole purpose, but they definitely set themselves up for that in that situation. Um, but on the side of booking up your jobs for your machine operating business, the simplest version of this is to be very honest and not present it as a discount, but present it as the slow season. And it's like, hey, during our busy season, you know, we're going to have to charge more because the schedule starts to fill up. But during these slower seasons, you should take advantage of our winter rates, however you want to say it. Not necessarily positioning it as a discount because then they're going to want the same discount in spring and summer. But if you position it as spring and summer just literally costs more because we're busier and having to pick and choose which jobs we take because we have more opportunity versus now we don't have as much opportunity. So you as the landowner should take advantage of my more open schedule and our winter rates. That's one of my favorite ones to do. That's pretty simple.
Now, the other thing that they're doing is they are, and purely from an operational capacity perspective, like this is where my head goes as an operator. Okay, we have high stress, overbooked capacity, lots of demand in the summertime, especially out here in the West. In our winter time, it's slower. It just is. We have snow. People's mindsets change, right? The psychology behind decision making for customers change. So we have to give them an incentive to go get in front of them during our slow time. And so what I love about this is they are incentivizing you with the warranty inspection. So specifically, and you can speak about it here from the South and Southeast guys, kind of more from land clearing, from fire mitigation. I'm thinking about this from a perspective of what takes up operational bandwidth during busy season for our team members who are on salary, right? Overhead
Mhm.
costs. And how do we smooth that out throughout the slower season? So if I can take something that our project manager is doing nonstop, working 12 to 14-hour days during busy season, and go and take some of that workload off of him during that busy time and smooth that out over into the winter, even if we don't book those jobs right now, we're taking work from one of our A-team players and smoothing that out over into the winter, which
Yeah.
also, what are they doing? They're getting us in front of the opportunity for more upsells, a new machine cost. If
Yep.
we go get our A-team player, our quarterback, in front of the customer, it's just a simple math equation. If we're
Yep.
doing something like a free wildfire risk assessment, providing them something of value during the winter months, we're not only taking operational bandwidth and smoothing it out for his schedule, we're knocking our work out ahead of time for the summer season. But number three, and you've already nailed it, like what do you think we naturally have more opportunities to do during that scenario when he's in front of customers?
A lot more selling opportunities.
And do you think that that is naturally going to equate to, yeah, we could actually fit this in next week and get this done during the winter?
Yeah. And in your case specifically, where there's snow, like the terrain's just going to look different. You're going to see different things. And I know you offer some stuff like, snow removal and stuff like this, but like what people do during those times is they think about how they want it to look different next time this happens before the snow comes. And so, you have a chance to see and plan for that. Um, but no, I definitely love your idea of smoothing out the stuff that you would normally be. So instead of having like a huge mound and nothing, you kind of, especially in terms of, expenses. Um, and I think everybody, even the other, the other guys could do that with maintenance. But I know for sure where it freezes and stuff, that's a huge thing. In multiple businesses, like, hydro seeding, pressure washing, roof stuff, where you're not getting on there because there's snow. That's the time where you tear everything apart and you can get away with it. Um, which I think is, pretty huge. But I do really love the warranty idea and planning way ahead. Um, and like in my pressure washing business, we offered roof cleaning, soft washing, and I offered it with a 5-year guarantee clean on composite shingle roofs because I knew it was going to stay clean for 5 years. And I have now videos of roofs that I cleaned 5 years ago, which makes a really good ad, by the way. Um, but it gave me an open door to come back to people, uh, you know, the next year or the next year. It's like, hey, I have that 5-year guarantee. Like, just want to know if you could come check it out. And then I get to their house and I'm like, oh yeah, your gutters are dirty and full, and now your driveway's dirty again. Like, hey, while we're here, you're a repeat customer. I can give you a pretty good deal. And they don't really know necessarily what a good deal means. I always still do right by them, but like you said, you get in front of them. But what I'm saying is the 2.0 of that is giving you reasons to get in front of them ahead of time. And that's, in my opinion, what this warranty does.
Reasons to get in front of them ahead of time.
Yeah.
And so I think most guys, whenever you're clicking on this video, you're thinking that we're going to be talking about, how do we, like make this job go 7.5 hours and this 8.5. What we're talking about is how do you take operational bandwidth and smooth that out throughout, take it from your busy time, put it in your slower time. So the step two that I think most guys might be thinking about is how do I go book more jobs right here, right now, January 23rd? And I believe that that is the lag measure or the result of doing the work that we should be doing. So what I've been thinking about here in the wintertime is how do we position ourselves to get our best player in front of the customer? And that comes, I guarantee you, and when I take my machine down here, somebody is going to walk up and shake my hand.
Yeah.
And somebody is going to say, hey, how was the year?
Yeah.
Tell me about that. And they're going to shoot the bull with me until it comes up for them to be like, well, how's that 870 treating you? Well, we got this new 86, and here are the 3 benefits that they made for this year's update. I know it's going to happen,
Yeah.
as it should. And the same thing should be applied to our businesses. How do we get in front of the customers during the time where you don't have jobs and offer them something of value? So let's talk about that. For this, they've caught my attention because I take my machine in on warranty, and they've got me convinced that that machine's covered under warranty, right? We all know that that's not true in all scenarios. But what they're hitting on, the pain point, is something that I would have already done and I don't need to do during busy season. From a land clearing perspective, talking purely B2C, let's talk ranch improvement, let's talk property improvement, let's talk land improvement, let's talk Western fire mitigation, whatever this may equate to in your mind, Jacob. How can an operator get their A team player in front of the customer during a slower time?
I have lots of ideas.
Let's rip.
But basically, and I have a really good example that comes to mind, but you have to find the pain point and or the the depravity, and then you show that to them. And the best way this always happens that I see, or that I've been affected by probably the most, Discount Tire. They're amazing at this. They position themselves as the authority. People are coming to them with some sort of tire issue, right? And then, or something else. They may just need air in their tire because they provide so much value to people, which is why they give free air to anyone who will get in line at their parking lot. I don't know if y'all have Discount Tire up there, but uh their smooth line is, I cannot safely let you leave here with how your tires look. And they've told me this line in multiple different ways, multiple different tires, multiple different level of tread on the tires, or like nail on the side, right? And say what you want, they're not necessarily lying. Like the tire shop that's just right around the corner from my house, they will patch any hole. It doesn't matter where that sucker is, which is convenient for me sometimes with, off-road vehicles or whatever. But in terms of what's on the road, discounts like, hey, that's not safe. So they sell more tires than anybody because of that reason. But they're positioning it as like, hey, I've assessed your situation. I cannot feel good by letting you leave here with this. And so then I think going to land clearing driveways, fence rows, you could go with property access, property lines, legality of how it is, hunting lanes. Like you're not going to be able to see that deer when he comes out next year because of how this is going to look. And right now, at the very very butt of hunting season, is the best time to start getting in there because it's fresh on your mind on where things were and how they are. It's a new year. A lot of these ranches, they budget, right? So their budget has now reset, and they're going to spend X amount of dollars. Might as well get in now while it's our winter rates, and we can schedule you quickly. But the way in my mind you get ahead of that is like whatever your main ideal client's pain point or depravity is, you position yourself as the authority to assess that. Um, and I'm trying to think of like just a home run, but depending on who's listening, there's lots of variables there. You have this comes down to, you have to know your ideal client's pain point or depravity, what they're missing.
So let's just talk about that example you missed. That person who's planning their budgets out for 2026. Let's say they're managing a large piece of property, whether that be a guest ranch, whether it be a hunting ranch, whether that be a farm or cattle ranch. A large operation is going to have an operations manager planning that out for the year. What are some things that that person is going to be doing, regardless of whether you help them with it or not? And that's where I like to start with this.
Yep. Yeah, if somebody's planning, like if somebody has a budget, that's an ideal client right out the gate, right? No matter what business you're in. So if you say that, like, one, they're going to feel more understood, but also you're going to call out that type of person. It's like, and then you're going to position yourself as a more understanding, more authoritative person because they realize you understand what they're saying. And the best clients, they like to do preventative, proactive, planned things, versus, I think about storms. So with storms, a lot of times, a lot of guys make lots of money on storm cleanup. But what if you could pull that up? Storms come at a certain time of the year, or storms coming up, and it's like, hey, let's make sure that your property is storm ready. Let's make sure something's not going to fall on your house. Let's make sure it's not going to fall on your fence or block your roads or block your access. Let's make sure before rainy season comes that your driveway is not going to wash out. Let's get that done now. Anything you could think of where you could pull it ahead in this time is kind of the time to do that. Those are kind of the big things that come to mind.
So let's just brainstorm here. I'm going off the cuff because this, as a marketer, like we have to think about that ideal customer. And we have to think about how can we add value to that ideal customer, because the only way that they're raising their hand on an offer that we put out is if we're adding value to them. And like the most simple and basic way to do this is, hey, get a free estimate. We're only targeting one very specific person inside of that market.
Yep.
How do we catch the person who are on the earlier stages of awareness levels, who are planning for that budget? How do we make them raise their hand?
Yes. That reminds me of what I was going to say earlier. It's those people who are proactive in planning, they're going to want to get on the schedule. They're not going to want to call you in the middle of the summer when you're already busy and just hope you can get to them, and you're gonna be like, I don't know. So if you just like put that scenario in front of them now, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, let me just get on the schedule now before everybody else starts booking. Because people with money and budgets, that's what they want. They want to get ahead of other people. They've got their flights booked out a year in advance. They've got people planned to come do things throughout the whole year. And those are ideal customers no matter what niche you're in. So you definitely want to get ahead on those. But I mean, there's just so many.
Hey,
There's so many.
I'm managing a 1,000-acre ranch here. I'm the guy. The big money owner is paying me a good salary to manage this ranch or this piece of property. Let's assume that I'm a great ranch manager and I do a great job at managing this ranch. What do you think, just off the cuff, are some things that are going through my mind right now as I approach 2026? What do I need to look at? And how am I going to look at that?
Yeah, that overgrowth that's encroaching on those fence lines that you have to check every day, that are stabbing you in the back or making you have to reroute around or making it hard for you to work on fence. That road that's closing in or getting muddy that you got the buggy stuck in. The new road that you need because he just bought another 500 acres on the backside of this property. The area you need for that new fence because we're going to start moving, cattle over here. Like all the things you saw out there on the ranch, you know, during the hunting season as you were running all around, but you couldn't do anything because you don't want to scare off, the animals, or maybe there was snow or whatever. Um, those are definitely the big things. And I have found, I love the way you said that working with those types of people, they're the ones who get stuff done, but they want to look good to their boss. And when you can come in and be fast, efficient, know exactly what they want and how they want it, then they're going to rely on you heavily and really love you because they've got the keys to the kingdom. They just want to look good to the boss. And you make that super easy for them, they're gonna make you paid.
All right, I'm going to share a tidbit with people.
Okay.
If you can help that person do their job better or easier, or make them look more professional, you have a grand slam offer they're going to be raising both hands at, trying to jump over the computer screen to figure out a way to get in touch with you. So, as a marketer, and guys, thanks to those of you who've been sticking around for 45 minutes. We're about to get into some good stuff here. As a marketer, this is where my head goes. Let's live in that person's shoes right now. Okay, I'm a ranch manager. I'm managing a 1,000-acre ranch. The owner of the ranch is a bazillionaire, whatever. He's in oil, right? He's just writing my check salary, telling me to do the job to the best of my ability. I'm managing that property. What tools am I going to be using right now? January 23rd, 2026. What software tools am I using? What am I researching to do my job to the best of my ability? I've got 1,000 acres here. We're riffing off the cuff right here, Jacob. What do you think that person's using?
Well, I guarantee you they're going to be they're going to be tempted if they don't already have it to be looking into big tractors, skid steers, something like that out there on their property. They all got side by sides. Um, so I don't know where your head's going with that, but I'm kind of thinking you're leaning towards, get in front of them when they're ready kind of thing. And if you're targeting people, I mean, I already just thought of a hook like, hey, wait, before you buy that new skid steer, you could save some money, look really good to your boss, and we're going to do a way better job. You probably know how to run a skid steer, but we do it every day. Let us come in there and, you know, make your ranch blank ready, whatever
Mm.
ready. Um, and then they don't have to do anything. They look good. They don't have to finance a machine. They don't have to learn to drive a machine. That's kind of the first thing that comes to mind for me. What was in your head?
Okay, I'll tell you the route that I'm going in my head. But at that person who's ready to buy a skid steer for the ranch, to hire an operator in-house to go make repairs. Let's start with this. What awareness level is that person at?
They don't really know you exist, or they're not really thinking about you if they're just looking into the machine and the operator. So I mean, they're way up.
But they are problem aware,
Oh,
correct?
correct. Yes.
Like they're aware that they have a problem.
Yes. Yeah. I see where you're going.
Okay. And do you have that graph handy or the chart handy of the different awareness levels? Because my head's going to up level here or down, whichever way you want to state it. But while you're pulling that up, here's where my head's going. That person who's doing their job, I'm thinking about where do they spend their time online? What is that? What app is that person logging into? What search queries is that person searching online? Okay. And if I'm doing that job as a ranch manager, my head immediately goes to I need a mapping software immediately because I need to build out a very detailed map of this ranch right here. And I need a way to mark this thing up. And I need a way to store notes. And I need a way to put the different problems that we have and outline them on a map so that I can go to the owner of that ranch and I can say, hey, here are the problems. And here is 1 through 10 problems. And here's the most important one that we should address this year. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? This is going to cost this amount. This is going to cost this amount. This is going to cost this amount. So if I'm doing that job to the best of my ability as a project manager or a ranch manager, I'm figuring out how do I document this? And I'm searching for tools that can help me do that. Okay. Now I know I'm taking us way up awareness level here.
No, that's kind of a genius move though. Because you can, in terms of online marketing, you can hyper target by people who use certain websites and apps, which is pretty crazy but very cool.
So I want to think about what map is that person already using? What app is that person likely already using? We use Onyx for mapping out our projects internally. I've heard of Landglide as well. What I would do here in this scenario as an entrepreneur is go and search for ranch manager mapping tools, right? I would just want to understand what that person is using on a daily basis. Because then if I can present them with something that can help them do their job better or something that I have created that will absolutely make their job easier or make them look more professional, now we're tying into the pain. Because ultimately, what is that person's goal? Likely, most Americans' goal. Make more,
Money.
not content, make more money, right? Like, let's be honest, right? Look, there are plenty of people out there, Jake and I were talking about this the other day. It's like, oh, I don't care about the money. It's like BS. You want to win and you want to make more money. Most people do. So if you can tap into that desire and figure out a way to help them make more money, then we're really attracting them with an offer as a marketer, right?
Yeah.
Why do I want to get my machine up to par on warranty?
So that you're better prepared to do your job, make more money.
So that we don't lose money in the summer, right? AKA so we can make more money. It's simple. How can we help that person on the other side of this make more money? So let's tie this all back into slow season. if you can understand who you're targeting on the other side of this and really understand what their day-to-day looks like, what tools are they using? What are they already creating on their end? And the simplest way, for those of you who are in the Skool group, right, you're seeing this in real time. This is why I've given you all the spreadsheet templates, because you're already going to be doing that if you're a land clearing operator or a tree operator or a dirt operator. You would have to go do that on your own. But hey, the incentive for you to jump in the free Skool group is for me to give that to you, right?
Yep.
And that ideally helps you make more money. Same thing. If you can think about your customer in that perspective, who is the person on the other side of the screen or the phone that I'm trying to get to, and what are they doing to make more money? And then if you can help them on that path, now you've got a way for them to raise their hand and click on that ad.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, that's huge. If you can say or give something for free, takes nothing but your time, that would actually make that other person money, that's the ultimate open door, ultimate lead magnet, you know, no matter what. And then it also huge authority position, huge trust, because they've taken something from you and they were actually able to get value out of it. Not just and by value, I'm literally meaning money in this scenario, either saving money, making money, or making money more efficiently. That wins over everything. And they'll trust you forever. They'll buy from you forever, as long as you keep that cycle going of, doing what you said. I sent you that hoop funnel if you still wanted to jump in, but
Yeah, basically what we were referring to is I've seen Hormozy talk about this, where he talks about like problem aware, solution aware. Um,
And
so basically,
the really nice thing about Facebook ads specifically nowadays is you can run an ad to each level of the awareness stage without having to build separate campaigns and separate ad sets. You can have every level of the awareness just in there just by saying something different in each video or picture.
yeah, and that's incredible for what we have opportunities in front of us for right now in 2026. Um, so why don't you just share a few things about the campaign structure there? Because I know you and I have had a lot of conversations offline about this. Um, what we're doing here internally is I'm doing my best to understand the customer on the other side and what is motivating them to take us up on getting an estimate here. What's the driving point behind it? Do they have dead trees on their property? Do they did they have beetle kill that came through recently? Do they have scrub oak that is encroaching on pasture land? And Jacob, why don't you just take the listeners through how we as marketers can target the different types of customers inside one campaign and why it's better now, theoretically, than it was in the past?
For sure. Yeah, I'm definitely loving this. At first, it was a little intimidating, how they wanted content, but now I'm realizing it's actually a huge benefit to everybody. Uh, but and you'll hear me say sometimes like, well, don't just say land clearing free estimate. You can say that as long as that's not the only thing you say. There's always going to be lay down wins, right? There's going to be somebody who is ready tomorrow for you to bring the machine over. It's not as common, but it does happen. So you want to be ready for those people, which is why number one, I think you should always be on Google no matter what, because generally that's where those people go. But you can have it on Facebook too, like, hey, we do this service. I'm Jacob. Learn about me. We're in your area. Here's my machine. We'd love to come help you out. Click below, get an estimate. And still, you're not actually selling your service there. You're selling the estimate. I think this is a huge point. Like, you're not trying to get someone to click on the ad and like schedule your machine to come out. It's not like that. And you're not gonna make much money that way either. Unless you just have an insane upsell process and a bunch of like your techs or sales guys, kind of like plumbing and HVAC. Then you could do something like that. But in this case, you're just trying to sell getting to their property. Um, so that would be like the people who are problem aware and solution aware. Like they're as far along in the awareness pipeline as they could possibly be. So run that video, but then also run a video of something like you just said, like, hey, is there overgrowth encroaching on this part of your property? Can you not see to the back of your property? Can you not fully enjoy your property because it's, overgrown? And then, ideally standing in front of a nice property where all the good trees are still there and all the overgrowth's gone. If you wanted your property to look like this, and then you could do another one that's pricing, like pricing and operations. So like, hey, before you hire a land clearing company, you know, here's 3 things to watch out for. That's a really good one for any industry. And that would be somebody who's also problem and solution aware, and you're just kind of positioning yourself as the authority. And then you could go as far as to the other side of frequently asked questions or just educating on forestry, trees, um, property access, roads. Like, I imagine a lot of people think a gravel driveway is very simple. And in some ways it is, but there is definitely ways to mess it up. And there's things that go into it that people don't think about. So then I imagine you standing there, describing what makes a good gravel driveway and why, and what are the problems if you did it wrong and you didn't have proper drainage or the proper packing or the right size rocks, or if you have a creek or something coming through, or where's that runoff going to go? Erosion control, like if you just start ripping out trees and the guy comes in and just rips out a bunch of trees, piles it up, makes a huge mess. What are you going to do now? Like, what's going to keep all of your land from eroding? There's just so many things that y'all are going to know way more than me too, that you can just educate in videos for those people who are more higher up in the awareness funnel. And you can run all of these videos side by side, and Facebook will just show them to the right people, which is amazing. But so then your same offer can get in front of 10 different people.
Absolutely. And it's incredible that the campaign will optimize for that. I don't know if guys are comprehending how much time that saves everybody on the back end. The fact that the algorithm can find the different people and identify where they're at on the different awareness levels is incredible. So the more you and I have been talking about this is where my head lives all week long. How do I go film videos in 3 or 4 different variations that target the different people on the awareness level? Same end result, but how do you just go up the scale? And ultimately, what I wanted to do was, just talk about this. I found it. We have completely unaware. So, in regards to people listening to this live stream, we'll make it to where I'm going to convey the different levels of awareness for you listening to this live stream. And then I want you to think about how this could apply to your business and your service. So, the completely unaware people, if you're listening to this and you don't know you have a problem, or excuse me, if you're not listening to this, you probably don't know you have a problem. You're not thinking about land clearing, fire mitigation, or systems, right? And so it's just like, how do Jacob and I talk about land clearing, fire mitigation, systems, marketing? Because this messaging, the stories, pattern interrupts, education about risks and opportunities, just sort of like wakes you up to the business model, to the problem, right? Jacob, would you add anything to that as far as this and the live stream and how we talk about educational things related to land clearing and fire mitigation?
Yeah, no, that I mean, maybe one step further would be just like not even knowing this is a business, which you would. It surprises me how many people I run into that have no clue. What do you mean land clearing? What is that?
Yeah.
So there's definitely one more step up, but yeah, no, you're right there.
So number one is completely unaware. So the person who doesn't even know about the business model, right? Completely unaware. The only way you find out about this is if you're scrolling on YouTube and the algorithm happens to show this to you and you click on it and then you go listen to one of the live streams. So as Jacob and I are creating these live streams, we're targeting the people who are completely unaware, or there's a chance that we get in front of the completely unaware, right? Now, second, and the people who are likely still listening to this are problem aware, right? You feel the pain, but you don't know exactly what the solutions are that exist. It's like you're either operating a land clearing business, you're operating a fire mitigation business, or you've been listening to these live streams and you just want more information about what solutions exist out there. So here's an example of an operator on the other side. Like, my schedule's chaos. I'm exhausted. Crews are all over the place, but they don't know about, or you don't know about capacity planning, pricing for minimum job size, things like that.
Yeah, they just know I get in the machine, I do work.
So the next piece is solution aware. You know the types of solutions exist, but not Jacobs or owner ops specifically, right? I know I need better systems to run my business. I know I need somebody to manage my ads. I just don't know who exists. So the example of this would be the land clearing or tree operators out there. You're cranking, you're doing $500,000 a year just by brute force. You've heard about advertising, you've heard about paid ads, you've heard about building systems. You know those things exist. You just don't know who in the market provides those.
Yes, if I could just squeak in there real quick, that makes me think of like us. That's how we compare to certain guys in the business who do a good job and have been around for a while. It's our responsibility to educate and get in front of those level of aware people, because they could hire Bob with a skid steer or John with a tractor to do something that's going to take them way longer, be way harder, and not produce as good a result as you could provide to that landowner. But because you didn't let them know you existed and educated them on the difference, they are going to get a worse product and probably spend and waste money. And so I think about my business the same way. Is there are for sure other marketing opportunities out there for that would work with the land clearing company. But I know that we are going to do a better job at marketing for a land clearing company than just a random marketing agency that doesn't know what land clearing is. But for that to happen, I have to let land clearing guys know that I exist and what the difference is between me and them. And that's our responsibility as business owners. And I think you should do the same thing. Don't complain about chucking a truck in your market. Educate your customers on the difference.
Yeah, because if the customer's hiring Chuck and a truck, they likely heard about them through word of mouth or referral, because Chuck and a truck is not doing marketing. But the other side of that equation is you're not doing marketing, or even if you are doing marketing, you're not doing it well enough to get in front of that customer to give them an opportunity to purchase from you.
Right.
Yeah. So that's number three. That's solution aware. People know these types of solutions exist, right? So that's where, just the simple free estimate form would convert. Like, if I know that there's a fire mitigation solution out there and I know that there are 3 different contractors, that person who's solution aware in my market has already searched for fire mitigation contractors, and they likely have seen the 3 or 4 different players. But if my ad shows up in front of them, like get the free estimate, I make it easy for them to schedule a call with us, then we're capitalizing on that person who is in that stage of the buying process.
Right.
Solution aware. Okay. And then next we have product aware. So they know you and who you are and what you sell, but they aren't sure it's right for them. And so once again, like this may be a person who has actually booked a sales call with you, Jacob, or in my fire mitigation business, this may be somebody who has done a site visit with our salesperson. They're product aware. They're just not convinced that it's right for them yet. Right. So then we need to, from a marketing perspective, make sure that they have things like proof, like case studies, like 5-star reviews. They need to be able to see what other people who have already paid us for our services have achieved. Because the person who's product aware just wants to confirm that this is right for them.
Right.
And then 5, most aware. It's like they know you, they know what you sell, and they really just specifically need the deal and the timing and the terms. Like, when are you going to show up, or can you meet my schedule requirements?
Yep. Exactly.
So quick recap. We got completely unaware on the awareness level, problem aware. We've got solution aware, product aware, and most aware. Okay. Where do you guys think, and this is where we'll wrap up because I know we're over the hour, where do you think that I am on the buying process when Bobcat sent me this?
Most aware.
I'm most aware. Okay.
And that's where I think a lot of guys, and I just posted about this with referrals, drop the ball, is like they get paid once and they're like, okay, I can go find my next opportunity now. It's like you've already paid for that customer in some way with time or money. You need to continue to get value out of that customer, increase the lifetime value that somebody brings to you. And you can do that where it benefits you and them. And that's exactly the scenario of that flyer. It's like they're actually providing you value, but then they're also getting more value out of a customer that they've already paid for. And then on top of that, getting referrals. So, I mean, you can take somebody from completely unaware to most aware really quick with a referral. They know somebody already who got their land cleared or forestry mulch, and they trust that person. They got to see the results directly, all the back end, unfiltered because it's their friend or their family member. And they see that, and then they get the referral, and then they hire you, and they shoot straight through all of the awareness stages. And so you need to squeeze the juice out of your most aware people. Keep in contact with them. Come back, keep them warm, send them flyers, send them emails, ask for referrals. Your most aware people, you need to squeeze. You need to squeeze more, and they want that. They want that.
I love it. I love it. Well, I know we're over the hour here, and so I will stick around for a few minutes for some Q&A. Looks like we've got a couple in the chat. Jacob, if you need to get to another meeting, feel free to jump off. We've got Eli. Where are you learning these things as a newer business owner, trying to break into fire mitigation, specifically the right way to put in gravel driveways? So fire mitigation, specifically FireWise, is an organization that if you're looking at doing any of this work, you should absolutely go study. All right, bye, Jacob. Have a great day. FireWise, you should absolutely go check that out and then study up on all of the rules, regulations, the requirements. They are the organization that all the insurance companies work with to basically put these standards in place for homes in the wild and urban interface. So go check out FireWise and then read up on all of that. And then as far as gravel driveways, I grew up working with my dad in construction, so I learned growing up. I recommend if guys don't have experience and you want to get into this industry, it would be highly worth your time to go work for another contract for a year, work for another contractor for a year or two, because you can definitely mess this stuff up and it's going to get expensive quick if you're inexperienced trying to do grade and whatnot. I mean, I know there's guys out there who, it looks like, hey, I can just take a skid steer and go grade this driveway out. I would really encourage you to learn about water drainage, watershed, and then also go work under another contractor to learn some of the tricks of the trade for how to put correct drainage, sloping, crowning on the driveway, so that if you go build that driveway, you're not just doing a flat drive in where when it rains, you get the washout right in the middle of it. So whenever you see washouts on driveways, like that's the issue. It's like some guy with a skid steer just comes in and is like, I'm just going to grade a flat driveway. And well, then when the rain happens and the low spots happen, you just see these like big gullies just right down the middle of the driveway. So make sure that you're putting a proper crown, putting proper drainage on it if you're doing gravel driveways. Here's what I would do for certified wildfire mitigation specialists. I would absolutely recommend going through that. Would also go work with your local county. See what's available in your area. What part of the country are you, Eli? So most places in the West, especially in the wild and urban interface, that's defined as areas and developments that are being built in areas of high wildfire risk. So what we're seeing now at the county level are organizations, like we have a great organization here who is very helpful on setting different standards as it relates to wildfire mitigation. They are all up to par on Firewise. They're pushing the Firewise guidelines to the community so that they can get more adoption and buy-in from community members to either do this wildfire mitigation work themselves or hire a contractor. Some of these organizations are working with state and federal funding agencies to make cost share programs available for the community members in the wild and urban interface. And so, yeah, I would highly recommend reaching out to your local wildfire council. Just search your county and then wildfire prevention or wildfire council. And then I would just go in there and talk to them. They're usually going to be work hand in hand with the fire department. So if you can't find anything online, go to your fire district and just walk in their office and ask if they have anything in the county related to wildfire mitigation or fire prevention. Colorado, El Paso, yeah, there's plenty down there. There is, a lot of work down there. So you just search for your county and then wildfire mitigation, and you should be able to find an organization down there. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for being on, Eli. I appreciate it. So we're going to wrap that up, and we will do this again next week. Live stream, 7 a.m. Mountain Time, 8 a.m. Central. We always do Q&A at the end. So for those of you who are joining, please make sure to bring your questions and answers, and I'll always make time for Q&A towards the end. But once again, thanks again for joining another week of the OWNR OPS podcast here and this series with Jacob on land clearing live stream. I hope you guys are getting value out of this. This is a lot of fun for me as I'm able to just have open conversations with another marketer and another guy who, thinks about this all the time. So appreciate you guys joining, and I hope you're getting value out of it. We do have a free Skool group, like I mentioned earlier in the episode, where we're putting a bunch of resources in there to help guys who are just starting out. That's skool.com/ownerops, skool.com/OWNR OPS. We help guys with pricing early on, how to make the phone ring, how to set up schedules, how to optimize crews, and how to just get up and off the ground and stabilize the business. So if you are interested in it, just jump over there, and would love to meet you in the Skool group. But we're going to wrap that episode up. Thanks again for listening to another episode of the OWNR OPS podcast. Don't forget, work hard, do your best, never settle for less. We'll see you next week.